Nice. Nice. That's how we're starting the show, just with a little bit of fail flute. Thank you so much for that, Tony. We're starting off with a dog in lap 2. Look at this doggy. That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. So Zelle's decided she wants some cuddles today. So cuddles she shall get. I just want to zoom in a little bit. That's better. She got dark brows today. Hi everyone. We're doing. Well, I don't like it still. That's a bit better. Yeah, hi everyone. We're doing Gideon the Ninth today. I can hear Zell snoring. Oh, Lisa. I do too. I needed visual aid to help me out with this book. I kind of wish I did it earlier on instead of, oh baby. Oh, you snozzies. You're just trying to sleep. Aren't you? You were just down there trying to sleep. But you got so cuddly for Papa. But you got so cuddly for Papa. Oh, she's going back down. Alrighty. Enjoy the lap. Gideon the Ninth. So, Gory, we're all a bit interested on the status of your absence because you were championing Gideon the Ninth. The whole slogan of it was necromancy lesbians, lesbian necromancers. That's kind of the slogan of Gideon the Ninth. Lesbian necromancers. And you were like, everyone vote Gideon. Let's read Gideon. And Gory, did you read the book? Did you? Lesbian necromancers in space. In space. Did you read the book? Gory, get in book club chat right now. Oh, you get in chat right now. Get in chat right now. You have to defend yourself because we were all just like, why isn't she here? Get in chat right now. Anyway, book good. That's what we're going to discuss. That's what we're going to... I don't see her in here. What is this? Did I ask... Did I not ask politely? I found a little something on Zell's back. What is that, my love? You got a little bump. Hopefully it's not too bad. Alright, well, Gory's not going to come in to the chat. I won't be in chat. Sorry, fam. Book good. Alright. Boss Bomb has issued a decree. Let's have a look at the other chat happening here. K Friday said I only made it to chapter 7. This audiobook was too much for me. STS says a wild mort appears in me. Thierry says I decided to go to Montreal Comic Con this weekend and I'm going to get James Marsters' autograph on my copy of Changes, book 12 of the Dresden Files series. Oh, that would be so sweet. Speaking of necromancers, Miss Necromancer has just resubscribed for 13 months. Thank you so much, my darling. Are you in there? You are! Welcome on in. A big hello to you. We got Zell. Hi. I'm late. Oh, no! Kate! You got COVID. How did that happen? How are you feeling out of 10? Are you alright? I feel like... Have we kind of all had COVID at this stage? Clever's like, I might have to leave and change venues.
I'm okay.
Okay, yeah, you sound okay. That's good. Is it
I'm
mild?
just a little stuffy.
When did you find out you had it?
Yesterday. I got it from a coworker.
Coworker came into work. Did they not realize?
No, they didn't realize.
Oh, well, I'm so glad it's
three
not
of us
so
now
bad.
have it.
Oh no, I'm glad it's not so bad. I got it
That's
really
not too bad.
Colleen's had it, not too bad. Thierry said, knock on wood, I'm still COVID free. Baden says, I don't think I ever got it, maybe very early on in the pandemic. Chris said, nope, no COVID for me. KPW says, no, I've had it. STS says, I have not. Lisa has had it twice. Reigning champion. Reigning a champion. Ember and Aaliyah says, sorry to hear that, Miss Necromancer. Me too. Oh no, Aaliyah. Lisa, you too. Oh dear. Family got it to you both times. Oh no. Look, Zell's sitting up now. Hello. Sending Zelda cuddles to make everyone feel better. Cuddles. Okay, fine. Tassie says I've had many close calls, but never for me. Toasty Post said I had it the week that we reviewed The Martian. That was only like 2 books ago. Some clip, Gory says, and this is verbatim. Some clip, Zell cuddles. Some clip. No. My son's boss had it and came into work and infected everyone. Oh, come on. Play the Board said I had it in May. I qualified for antivirals and did pretty well. Oh, okay. I know we do need to get a little Zell cam. Dog cam, when? Morn says no COVID for me yet, thankfully. Papa's still test and neg on the reg. I'm supposed to be on set tomorrow and Friday. I've been feeling a little tired and funky, but I would keep testing negative. So we'll see. But Kate, thank you for setting the standard here that even if you've got COVID, you show up. We love that. Alrighty, book good. Gory says yes. I have a feeling this book is going to split the party. And you know the number one D&D rule, never split the party. We are talking about Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin. That's going to get me. Kirsten. Tasmin. Tamsin Muir. She's Kiwi. She's writing about lesbian necromancers in space. And I have no idea what's happening in this book. I have some idea. I think I've got about 40% of a clue. That ain't good when you're reading a book. Now, Lisa and I... Oh, Colleen says, I think they split the party in the book and they got into trouble. Vaden says it's probably above average, 40%. Yeah, great first question. How much do you think you've retained? How aware are you of what's going on with this plot, percentage-wise? Hey, Morphinius. I am well. What percentage? Vaden's at 25%. Kate Frito is at 5 to 10%. Kate says if this one's confusing to you, the sequel's going to melt your brain. Kate's at a whopping 100%. Ain't nothing getting by her. Absolutely knows what's happening. Jimmy says 15%, and that is being generous. Oddball says maybe 20%. KP Dub says, I'm at about 60. Lisa says 35 to 40%. Yeah, I think I'm about 40%. Toasty Post says, I can keep track of the plot, but not the characters. Just so you know, I have been doing research, and I'm going to help us. This session is literally going to be a study recap. A recap of what the truck is going on with visual aids and clues. Terry said, I read the synopsis and it was a pass, and it looks like it was the right choice. Well, look, 50-50. You're either going to love or loathe this book. There is a lot going on. So let's get down to business. I'm going to read you the synopsis. We're going to break down the plot in acts. We're going to talk about the characters that we've been introduced to. We're going to learn who the F Gideon is and why the narrator wants to call her Hera instead of Harrow, which was a complete brain fuck for me. Lisa, do we kick this off asking everyone if you read the book or if you listened to the book and how you found the performance? Toblerone says, this is like my favorite book, but I'll be mum on spoilers. Thank you, Toblerscones. Appreciate that one. Star Pilot 6 says, I read it some time ago and I enjoyed it. So I'll just say in the first half of the book or so, I had a lot of trouble keeping the characters straight. But around 3/4, they started to gel a little bit more in my mind. Great feedback, Star Pilot 6. I feel like we're on the same page with that. We go to Michelle in the chat, not in the call. 90%. I'm feeling good about what I've listened to so far. Feels like reading punk rock Dune. For me, it feels like reading space, steampunk, Throne of Glass. I'll tell you why. K Frito says audio, sadly. Vaden's listened to it. Jimmy's read the book. Colleen's listening to it. Lisa's listening to it but might do the switcheroo. And Kate's read it. I would love to... KP Dubs has read it. Oddball's read it. Oddball, how would you like me to refer to you? Are you okay with Oddball? You let me know. Morphinius, you have read both, and Fatal Flower says reading it. I want to know if there's a direct correlation to the people that have listened to it and didn't like it, and the people that have read it and did like it. Because I think that would be indicative of the narration. Now, do you remember in book club on Nerdist how Hector couldn't stand the Lies of Locke Lamora's narrator? He was a little bit thespian-like, he was a bit too performative, and the words just weren't sticking. That's what I've got. Lisa, how would you describe this audio narrator? And let me know why it's not working for you.
Well, first off, I realized about halfway through my read that I've listened to this narrator before, and it was for like more of a young adult, almost middle grade series, and that's how she comes off to me. She's very like juvenile sounding almost, and it's hard for me to stick with the story. So a lot of times I just space out, and so I'm not following along very well. So I think I'm probably going to go back and actually reread the whole first half physically, and because I don't know who any of the characters are.
Yeah.
I barely understand the plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is very, I don't know how to explain her voice, but it comes off kind of juvenile to me.
I get ya. I hear you with that one, especially when you've got sort of like a previous sort of association with that voice that's sort of taking you out as well. For me, it's like, oh, thank you, Fatal Flower. I really appreciate you. Thank you for using your Prime for 4 months total. I really appreciate that. Look, Play the Board says I listened to it and I liked it a lot. Kate says, I think reading it really helps because they have the cast of characters at the front so you can flip back to the list and it keeps everyone in check. Yeah, we are missing crucial availability. And I didn't start looking at any characters until today, and already the visual aid is helping. Emberent Elias says, I've been listening, enjoying so far, but I've also I've had a fever, so I may need to re-listen later to absorb more details. KP Dub says, look, this, agreeing with Miss Necromancer, though I should have referenced it more than I did. Jimmy loves the artwork, which is great. And Vaden says, rebellious, overly horny teen. So I think the problem that I'm having, you know, a narrator... Cool Monkey 8000, welcome here. We are doing... What the... What a weird first thing to say. Hello, bud. Thanks for the follow. Well, I've got a lot of technical equipment around me, and I'd get cranky. As I was saying, when you have an audiobook narrator... Sorry, my love, I'm not patting you. The narrator is either captivating or it ain't sticking. And for this one, I would constantly find myself tuning out, not listening. My mind wandered so fast. There was just no way to kind of latch on and keep track of the story when this narrator was reading it. Now, it does differentiate characters with different voices. It does. She's telling the story. It's not bad, but for some reason, I just can't. It's just not grasping. Do we just want to dive in and like talk about the plot and stuff like that? Let's do that. The synopsis. The Emperor needs necromancers. The ninth necromancer needs a swordswoman. Gideon has a sword, some dirty magazines, and no more time for undead nonsense. Tasmin Muir's Gideon the Ninth unveils a solar system of swordplay, cutthroat politics, and lesbian necromancers. I feel like we need a drink every time we say lesbian necromancers. Or a lesbian gets her wings or something. Isn't that right? Gory, you let me know. What should we do? Surprise. Her character... Oh, Blue Cloud says, I've walked into the right place. The Locked Tomb is my new favorite thing, and I've been trying to get everyone I know who's a reader to read this. Well, we did a poll, Blue Cloud 101, and yes, we are going to be reading this book for the next 2 weeks. We are talking about just the first half of the book this week, and then next week we'll be talking about the second half of the book. We've all noticed, though, that we're really struggling to understand what's going on and all the characters and the plot, so we're doing a little bit of a research, explorative, learning stream for the next 2 hours to catch everyone up on what the truck is going on. I'm just reading the plot right now, but if you've got friends that have read it, invite them on in, because we're going to be talking about it for the next 1 hour and 40 minutes. Her characters leap off the page as skillfully animated as arcane revenants. The result is a heart-pounding, epic science fantasy. Brought up by unfriendly, acidifying nuns, ancient retainers, and countless skeletons, Gideon is ready to abandon a life of servitude and an afterlife as a reanimated corpse. She packs up her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazine. Well, how many times are they going to say dirty magazines? We get it. And prepares to launch her daring escape. But her childhood nemesis won't set her free without a service. Harrow Hark Nonagesimus, Reverend daughter of the Ninth House and Bone Witch extraordinaire, has been summoned into action. The Emperor has invited the heirs to each of his loyal houses to a deadly trial of wits and skill. If Harrow Hark succeeds, she will become an immortal or powerful servant of the resurrection. But no necromancer can ascend without their cavalier. Without Gideon's sword, Harrow will fail and the Ninth House will die. And of course, some things are better left dead. All right, so that's the synopsis here. That's what we're working with. Baby, you want to scooch up? I love you. Kay Frida says, I would so watch it as a Netflix show. You're right. Like it has such a point of difference that I really appreciate and that I really, really dig. Cash22 says, look, not going to lie, I'm kind of glad that I skipped this one. Every time lesbian necromancer is brought up as a selling point, I feel like that's the only thing important to the story, and it sounds a bit too teenage fanfic for me. Okay. Everyone needs a necromancer. All right. Kate, what would you say the most important things are about this book?
I'd say it's like Battle Royale with necromancers.
Mm-hmm.
They're all coming from different aspects of the art of necromancy. So they're all, obviously the Ninth House is the most stereotypical necromancers with skeletons and old zombie priests and stuff everywhere, but I love that each house has a different feel to it. They all kind of come together, and it's all these different viewpoints coming together, but they're competing for a limited space, right? They can't all be the next Lictor, so you have to compete for each other. So that's the way I saw it, was that it was like Battle Royale in a haunted space mansion. And it was gay.
And it's super gay. I love that. It took me a little bit to start realizing what some of these tropes were. And I will say that the more it became familiar trope-wise, the more I had fun with it and was able to latch onto it a little bit better. I think with the contradicting genres, so it's space and somewhat it's like science fantasy. So you're in space, there are space vessels, it's kind of steampunky, but then you've got cavaliers who are learning with swords. And so that was kind of like, I would keep forgetting if it was like a fantasy or a science fiction, but it's kind of a bit of both. So that was like a little bit hard for me to digest. And then, all the names felt quite reverend and old, and the gowns and clothes they would wear, but then all of a sudden Gideon's rocking sunglasses, and I was like, oh, that's, and like knuckle dusters, like glass knuckles. And so I was like, there was no one sort of clear set tone. It would keep bouncing around a little bit. But then I realized, did we all cover Throne of Glass for Nerdist Book Club last year? I feel like we've all read Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass book, because I made everyone read it. The blueprint's the same, in a way. In Throne of Glass, you have all the baddest baddies, all of the thieves and mercenaries and assassins that are all competing to become the king's champion. And to do this, they have to participate in a series of challenges. And while that's happening, people are getting murdered. So with that same blueprint, and because I've read that book 2 or 3 times now, it was a little bit easier for me, and I'm talking this is more about around the 40% mark of the book, that I was able to be like, okay, it's the same premise in different clothes. KP Dubs just gifted a sub to Blue Cloud 101. Thank you, KP Dubs, for introducing Blue Cloud into the community so wonderfully like that. It's a very, very warm welcome. And Kenzie the Dragon Queen. Oh, Kenzie the Dragon Queen says, the melding of old and new like that was amazing. Yeah, we haven't really seen anything like that. And it took a little bit, I guess, for my brain to adjust. And it was a bit harder for me to visualize because as soon as I started leaning in one direction, all of a sudden they're talking about an airlock. And I was like, what? How? They're in a castle. Okay. Whoops, my bad. So my brain starts piecing it together, but I have to be a little bit more reserved in that regard. Blue Cloud has said from the first half, honestly, when we all meet everyone from the houses at the landing platform on Canaan House, felt like Hunger Games meets Dune. Oh, I like that. And Michelle has already said it reminded her of a steampunk Dune. I'm saying it reminds me of a space fantasy Throne of Glass. Kate adores how the styles are all mashed up. Lisa says it's just a that's what she said joke. The book is just a that's what she said kind of joke. I hear you on that. What anyone else who's kind of like read a bunch of stuff, how would you A plus B equals Gideon the Ninth? What 2 things is it mixed between, would you say? If anyone wants to unmic and give their answer. A lot of people are saying June.
What I was saying before in the chat to, I can't remember who it was, but I was saying that it reminded me of Train Spotting, the movie Train Spotting from the early 90s. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was a very, weird movie, and that's the vibe that I got from it. I know it's in space, but Train Spotting in space doesn't sound so attractive if you think about the movie.
I don't think I've seen the movie.
What's up?
I haven't seen that movie.
Okay, well, for the lack of interest, because I don't want to throw off people, but it's basically a show about people that are doing bad things.
Copious amounts of drugs.
But they're trying to become better people. You know, so it has that same wacky vibe. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, the story may not match, but it has that wacky vibe, that off-putting vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Nah. Ewan McGregor says Catch-22 with lots of drugs. Jack Scales says it's a classic. Kate says it has lots and lots of heroin. And Kay Friday says so much drugs. I guess if the heroin was instead necromancy, maybe. But you're right. There are some sort of a bit of batshit quirk happening in this book. Especially the protagonist. So let's have a little chat about Gideon Nav. Gideon Nav. I'm going to read a bit about her. Look at this. Bing. Ding. There's my little spot. We can read it all together. This fandom, the Locktomb fandom wiki, so helpful for me. We're going to go through all the plots here as well. So handy. But here are the characters. We got Harrowhark, Nonagesimus, who is Nonagesimus and Bene Gesserit. Very similar. All these names are a lot. So good on the narrator for being able to effortlessly say Harrowhark, Nonagesimus, even though she says Hera Hera. I thought there was a Hera, like the god, the Greek goddess. Anyway, we've got Pellamina, Novanar, and Priamhark, Nonius. There's also Ortus and Crux, one syllable. Can't mess that up. Sister. Oh, of course. Sorry. In the first house, there's the Emperor and his lictors. Yeah. In the second house, there's Judith, Marta Dias, Coronabeth, Tridentarius, Ianthe, Tridentarius, Nebarius Turn. The fourth house says Isaac Teter, the fifth house is Abigail Pent and Magnus Quinn. Don't get too attached, they die. Palamedes and Sextus is in the sixth house along with Camilla Hecht, but they're apparently away a lot. The seventh house is Dulcinea, Septimus, and and the eighth house is Silas and Column Ashed. So easy to retain those names. Nailed it. First try. There are spoilers on the screen. Oh, my bad. Oops. Thanks, Kate. Star Pilot 6 says that there's a lot of it reminded me a bit of A Knight's Tale in that everyone talked too modern day for the setting, and they even used today's music and memes as it should be jarring. And it should be jarring, sorry, yet it somehow works. Yeah, Shannon Sossaman is the most modern looking person, and she was supposed to be someone in those times. And Heath Ledger just looked like he was a surfie who'd just gone out and caught some sick barrels, and instead he's a knight. So I hear what you're saying. It's that juxtaposition between what should be ye oldie, but with very modern takes in it. Love that observation as well. Lisa says perfect pronunciation, sorry. Gaia says whispering helps the pronunciation. Yep. Emberant Aaliyah said it had a bit of video game vibes for me. Maybe a little bit of Bioshock, being dropped into a situation where you have to explore and interact to figure out what's going on. I love that. Blue Cloud says, me sitting here having read both Gideon the Ninth and Tara the Ninth while eagerly awaiting the release of Nona the Ninth this September. Villainous steepled hands intensify. Duga13, hey, just tuning in. Is she speaking English? She's bloody trying. She's trying. Oh my gosh, are you a Gideon character? A10 Ayoit Koku says, I found that the last names all had some play with what house their house number they're in. What? How so? Get out of there. Stop. No. Get. How so? So the second house Deuteros and Dias? Here we go. Kate's explaining. Kate, unmute. Talk me through it. That makes sense.
Each name is of their, like, obviously the first house, the Emperor is the first house, but Non is 9. So Nonagesimus is the 9th house. Ortos, so is 2. Tridentario, so Trident. Tri is 3.
Yep.
4, as in Pentagon. Quinn, as in Ken's, or, is 5 as well. Sextus, 6.
September. 9th month.
Theron is 8, Octa.
Oh, wow. Yes. That feels cool. Thank you, can you help me say your name? A10 Koku? It's just like, it's A-O-I.
I think it's Aoi Tenkoku.
Aoi! Aoi! I can do that. Aoi Tenkoku! Thank you. I like that. Thank you for prompting that conversation. And Kate, thank you for going through those and filling me in. That's cool. That's actually really cool. What language? Is that Latin or Italian? Due is Italian? Latin? That's like, I mean, don't want to give her any credit now, but that's what J.K. Rowling used to do with all her spells. They were all Latin-based. All that stuff was Latin. Estius is Australian. So close enough. Okay, Frito says, sounds like I was raised by necromancers. Oh, whoa. Clever Girl says it felt like post-apocalyptic setting, so that there are things that seem modern and then things that seem more medieval. Yes. Blue Cloud says that Tamsin Muir was heavily inspired by games such as JRPGs. Dyslexia is a bitch. JRPGs when she came up with the setting. That's cool. KPW says, yeah. This is where the cast of characters in the book would have helped instead of the audio. So Gideon is in the 9th house. Wow, Jimmy, you weren't lying when you said 15% was a stretch. Gideon, it's literally called Gideon the Ninth. The 9th. So yes, Gideon is in the 9th house. Star Pilot 6 says, yeah, the numbers in the name thing, when I pieced it together, helped a lot in keeping track of who everyone was in each house. That's going to be a game changer for me. Ah. KBW says Sept is 7. September used to be the 7th month until Augustus and Julius named August and July. Cool. And Toast Poster was like, I was about to say that. Blue Cloud 101 says, in fact, Tamsin and a bunch of other authors were mentioned in a Kotaku article published back in 2019, which pretty much goes on about a new wave of authors who were very much inspired by JRPGs. October, November, December, 8, 9, and 10. Oh. And it all got pushed back because of 2 little dudes. Kenzie the Dragon Queen says, okay, I've got it. It's got political structure and houses of Game of Thrones, but the aesthetic of old and new, like Dune and the Hunger Game plot. Wow, that is your Frankenstein's monster of all the parts of all the books put together. I dig it. There you go. Yeah, so if we're wanting to kind of say, yeah, if you like the political structure and houses of Game of Thrones, if you like the old and new aesthetic of Dune, and if you're big into the Hunger Games kind of plot, you're going to love this book. Arendelle said, I like the riff on Hunger Games and the first Red Rising book, but taken in a really interesting direction through the Dark Houses, more gothy than Red Rising. I haven't read Red Rising yet, and I really want to. Red Rising. Okay, so let's talk through the acts then. I'll try not to pull up any spoilers on the page, but this is going to be a little helpful, I think, for us to go through it. Act 1, this is what goes down. And again, if you're listening to this and you're between sort of like 20 and 40%, just be like, hey, that's news to me, or no, I had that. Arendelle, thanks for the follow, by the way. So in Act 1, Gideon Nav plans her escape from the Dower 9th house. All I know is straight out the gate is that Gideon has one nasty personality. And I want to ask a question about that to the chat. Gideon immediately is not a likable character. She has issues and problems with everyone. She's got a reputation of being a nuisance, not doing what she's told. Of course you did, Kate. Not doing what she's told, pushing her limits. But I think for me, if she's in servitude, so she is indentured, she's working for the 9th house and doesn't seem to be able to get out of it, and she's trying to run away. I think, and this is where I struggled, this is where I got the Throne of Glass side by side, because when we first meet Selena Sardothian, which name? She was basically serving in the mines, and she was sentenced to basically die underground working slave labor. And yet, I guess you have to have a sense of energy and empowerment to have that wit and keep challenging and keep, fighting the system. whereas it should have broken them at this particular point. And I think I get a little kind of like muffed. I wouldn't mind seeing them broken and then them fight for that hope again. But to be in servitude and, you know, always trying to push it, that correlation's a little funky for me. But I guess my question is, Gideon the Ninth, do you like her? Is she a likable character? What do you like about her? What don't you like about her? Do you have anything in common with her? Can you relate to her as a protagonist? Do you like her as the protagonist? Anyone in the Discord, if you want to unmute, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe Colleen or KP Dubs, who we haven't heard, or Oddball, who we haven't heard from yet. Oddball.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of like her as the protagonist because she doesn't really. We don't know if she's ever supposed to be meant to be there. Because in the start of Act 1, it kind of sets up she's just here. She's trying to get out of there, but she can't because of twists of fate and just she's looked on like a what is it? Like just an extra mouth to feed with scarce resources.
Yes. Yes. So you like the fact that she just shouldn't be there and that she's a cool person to follow because she's got a bit of a journey ahead of her?
Yeah, we kind of want to see where it goes, but it's just the whole start is just a little rough.
Yeah. Yeah. KP Dubs, what do you think of Gideon as a character?
I liked her right from the beginning. I don't really know why. I guess, she had her plan. She was setting everything up to escape. It was perfect. It was foolproof. But then Harrowheart just sputtered it out. So, and I don't know, right from the beginning where each of them are saying to each other things like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I like the fact that there's just pure hatred between the two. Yet somehow they just keep working together.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see how that develops.
I can see it a mile away. Enemies to lovers trope. But I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm like, all right, stop yelling at each other and shove your tongues down the throats. Anyway, let's see what everyone else is saying about it. Kate really likes Gideon. K Frito says, I liked her a bit. We just heard from KP Dubs, who said same. Kate said all the other characters seemed like a nuisance to me. Baden says, I'm not sure if I like anyone in this book, really. Arendelle says the commonality is young proteges from noble houses in a contest. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's true. Kate says, like her reaction is realistic to me because the Ninth House is a dank shithole. We don't mince words over here. Jimmy says she's a badass. Hopefully she's got a redemption arc. KP Dub says she's basically a slave and I would be in a pretty pissy mood too. I think I would just be depleted of hope. Maybe that's what's going on. Colleen says she's in servitude and is an orphan of unknown origin. She has no house that she's associated with by birth. Kate said, if you were looking at this in a film aspect, Gideon would be the only character in color and everything else in the Ninth House would be black and white. That's beautiful. And I think that's what they're trying to do in this cover art here. But I would much rather watch that. That's a beautiful way to describe it. Toaster Poster said, I would feel the same if I were treated like her. We get some big world building because Gideon is against the world. Lovely said. Well said, well said. Kenzie, the Dragon Queen, says, I absolutely relate to her as a character. I'd love to hear more about that, Kenzie, on how and why. Lisa says, I have heard people say that if you love the first one, you won't love the second one, and vice versa. And if you didn't love Red Rising, you will probably love book 2. Oh, that's all about Red Rising, I think. That's cool.
Yeah, sorry, that was Red Rising we were talking about.
I really want to read that. It's on my TBR. It's on my TBR. Jimmy said, Pylang says, tongue shoving hype. Jimmy says, Gideon the Ninth has that rough around the edges feel, but she doesn't let that keep her stopping what she sets to achieve. There you go. Lisa says, I honestly think I'm going to go back and reread the first half physically because I feel like I've retained nothing from the audiobook. Michelle says, I really like Gideon. Reading her point of view is like listening to Joan Jett and the other girl rock bands. It's all about that attitude. She makes me want to smash shit up. And Kate says, let them smooch. Morphinia says, oh, please read Red Rising when you have the chance. Great book series. Okay, alrighty. So we've established the fact that at the beginning of Act 1, we're meeting Gideon Nav. She hates all her superiors. They all hate her. She's been plotting her getaway for months now. She just wants out. She wants off. Play the Board says, I found Gideon super amusing. She's about to successfully get off the house. Kate? Planet? It's a planet.
That's planet. Each
Yep.
planet, each house is its own planet.
Good. Basically, she's trying to get out, and then we meet Harrowhark, Nona Gessimus. And she is, let me scroll down to where they are. Stop doing that. I don't care. No, where is this? Her characters. The heir to the house of the ninth, the reverend daughter of Driaba. Have I heard that ever? Maybe. Anyway, we established pretty quickly that Harrowhark does not like Gideon. In fact, there's a beautiful quote that I have in the book, which is of basically about how they hate each other. Was it you're like a piece of shit witch? No offense. So they basically like absolutely loathe each other. And Harrowhark is what does a combat, challenges her and says, if you beat me, you have to come to this announcement. And then you can get on the shuttle. But if you win, you can get on the shuttle. And that's when we discover that Harrowhark absolutely crushes as a necromancer, is pulling up all these dead skeletons that she'd previously buried on that playing field, played a bit dirty. And then the Harrow's Cavalier, Ortis. What's his name? Nigenad. I look at that and I see Nigonads. Ninigonads. Colleen says, I feel like Harrow is an emo girl, even among necromancers. Yeah, it's got the dark hair and the pointy chin. Definitely these ones. Mr. N. She's a stereotypical necromancer. Yeah, well, kicks her butt, and basically her Cavalier goes out, and she's like, all right, psych, I absolutely pulled a number on you. There was no way I was going to let you escape. I don't like you as a person at all, and so I'm going to hire you instead. It gets a little shady for me. I did a 90-minute hike, and you think I listened? I tried. Anyway, when Harrow's Cavalier, Ortis Nanarhat, escapes on Gideon's shuttle, Gideon is pressed into service in his place. On the Emperor's summons, Gideon and Harrow travel to the first house and compete with the other scions, the 9 houses system, to ascend to the glorious and immortal position of lictor. Now, this is a position that Harrow desperately needs in order to revive her dying house. You become immortal. And on the first night of the trials, the shuttles that carried the competitors in, they disappear, trapping them on the planet. Now, Jimmy, Lisa, you're sitting there around the 15 to 30, 40%. How are we going? How are we tracking with that? Lisa, I'll go over to you. Did you kind of get that gist?
Yeah, I followed it that much. I just I don't know much after that. Like, okay. I don't understand what they're doing once they're there. And I think it's just because I was spacing while I was listening to it. So I'm definitely going to go back and reread it.
Did it help sort of like having the blueprint of Throne of Glass? Like knowing that people are coming from all over to compete in a series of challenges for an end goal that's desirable, like a new title, but then people are getting murdered during the night, because that's kind of the same.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that until you said it. That's how much I'm not retaining.
As soon as I locked onto that, I was like, okay, I can follow a little bit better. And as soon as I sort of started seeing the tropes that were in there, but I think the multitude of back and forth, the dichotomy of new and old, that was just like, I just couldn't latch on and build it out effortlessly. Like this one, it takes more effort. But Jimmy, with the Act 1, how do you feel like you kind of figured out Act 1?
Oh, I could say yes, that it's very helpful with the way that it's being broken down. Big ups to Kate. Yeah, like I understand there are 9 planets, 9 of them each have a house. They're trying to, I guess, be the best house that they can be, like Battle Royale, like you said. There's going to be one victor. It's probably going to get some sort of spoils. Makes perfect sense in that regard, yes.
All right. I love it. Act 1, locked in. Feeling good. Act 2, the Lictor trials begin. Even that's... who said Knight's Tale? I wonder if there's a subliminal von Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein? Anyway, the Lictor trials begin, and all the houses spread out to work independently. Abandoned by Harrowhark. So Gideon gets there and Harrowhark's like, peace. And she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, bye. And she's like, all right. Because we know that they just absolutely loathe each other. Harrowhark doesn't necessarily want Gideon, but Gideon just happens to be the most talented with a sword. Gideon finds out she's going to be a cavalier, which means she had to stop training with her one sword weapon and start doing 2-blade training, and then gets her knuckle dusters given a go there. Colleen says, there are trials, but they don't even know what they are. Ooh. So Gideon spends much of her time training and meeting the other competitors. She begins to build friendships with the 4th house, teens, who admire her, the 5th house cavalier, who seeks to encourage cooperation, and the 7th house necromancer, who takes a keen and often flirtatious interest in Gideon. Now, as much as I don't love the narrator, I kind of love how she voices the 7th house necromancer, Dulcinea Septimus, because she's all a bit whiffy-waffy, fairy, daisy, drifty, and it's like, okay, I can actually I can visualize that quite well. So the 5th house cavalier is Magnus Quinn. Magnus is the nice guy, and it was nice. I needed a Magnus around that time. I needed someone who was decent, not filled with loathing and hate. So that was quite nice. But I'm very confused about the twins, because there was a lot of dialogue going around, and I thought that the twins were making fun of her, not into her. So, Kate, do you want to describe the twins to me? The twins being the 4th house.
There's Corona Beth and Ianthe of the 3rd
Oh,
house.
that's them. Who am I thinking of? Who are the
Thinking
guys?
of the brother and sister, the kids?
They're kids?
The 4th house. Like the young, like, 14-year-olds.
Yeah. The ones who are like, oh, look at you trying to do anything. The bullies.
Yeah, they're like 14-year-old edgelords.
Okay. Who is that? Is that the 3rd house? No, that's Corona Beth in
The
the
4th house.
That's the 4th house. Isaac and Jane Marie.
Yeah, Jean Mary.
Jean Mary Chateau. Got it. So they're the brats, but the 3rd house is Corona Beth.
3rd house is the adult twins, is Corona Beth and Ianthe.
And they are both the necromancers. And Neberius is the cavalier. Wow, that's kind of cool that the twins are both...
Neberius is the one with the hair.
Nope. Yeah.
How he's got sexy hair.
Alrighty. 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, 6th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 8 houses here.
Because the 1st house doesn't have anyone coming, because the 1st house is the emperor.
Gideon,
First house doesn't have anyone competing.
Alrighty, so let's go through these. This is going to be, I hope, be helpful. So the
So
second
in
house.
the militarized ones,
Yeah.
start at the top. That's Judith and
Marta Dias. So Judith Deuteros, the heir to the house of the second ranked captain of the cohort. Yeah. And then the cavalier primary to the heir ranked first lieutenant of the cohort is Marta. So they're both women. Okay. I think it keeps cutting in and out a little bit, Kate.
Oh, sorry. Yes, they're both women.
Good. The third house, all in the purple, they're very pretty. That's Coronabeth, Tridentarius, Ianthe Tridentarius, the twins. We like them. And Naberius.
In the picture,
yes?
In the picture, Coronabeth is the more tanned one, Ianthe is the pale one.
Ah. Big shout out to this artist. Your name is very small scrawled there, but I found this online and it is so helpful. The fourth house, these are the teenage brats. Got it. So that's Isaac, Tateris, and Jean-Marie Chateur. So we don't like them. They're bratty. Yeah? Why are they so young?
There probably isn't an age limit on necromancers when the Emperor calls you.
Okay. Fifth house, we got Abigail Pent and Magnus Quinn. Very stoic, very wonderful, very friendly. Of course, they're the first to go. We'll get to that. Sixth house, the Greys. We got Palamedes, Sextus, and Camilla Hecht. Palamedes is the heir to the sixth house, the master warden of the library, and Camilla is the warden's hand of the library. So this is the thing, they all have different names. The fourth house, with the bratty teens, they are the Baron and the Knight of Tissus. The fifth house, these two right here, these legends, they are the Lady and the Seneschal of the I have so much more respect for the narrator. Coniortus Court. I would be glazing my eyes if I was reading this. The seventh house, the Greens. We've got Dulcinea Septimus.
Coniortus Court.
Coniortus?
Yeah, that's the way I pronounce it.
Coniortus. Got it. We got Palamedes. One over. Dulcinea Septimus and Protesilaus. Ebdoma. And there's the Duchess of Rhodes and her Knight of Rhodes. So she's a funny one. She's the necromancer. She was told as a child that she was going to die. So she's like a necromancer who's like barely alive. And she's just waiting until her time's up, which is any day now, in a way. And she's just getting her flirt on with Gideon hard. I feel like she's got nothing to lose anymore, so she's just living her best life. I find her to be a very interesting character. Then we got the eighth house, which is Silas and Column, and they are the Master Templar and the Templar of the White Glass. Now, which two houses aren't even on the planet for most of the time? Which two keep to themselves? Who are they again? Kate, clearly.
So the eighth house?
So they're white glass. Yep.
They're like the one guy, he acts like a super pious religious dude. See, each house, if you want to think about it, they each have their own separate vibe, right?
Yeah.
So like the second house is super military. The third house is like
they're kind of like Grecian gods, like with the sandals, but they're
fourth house
purple.
is for kids.
Yeah.
Fifth house is mom and dad.
Yeah.
Sixth house is library.
Mm-hmm.
Seventh house is pretty dying woman.
Mm-hmm.
Eighth house is priests, and ninth house is graveyard.
Yeah, right. All right, so my question is for everyone. What house would you fit into? Which out of all are you the library? I think half of you are in the library house. Maybe some of Kate, your graveyard. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. Yeah, definitely. Lisa's in the library. Colleen's in the library. You're all rocking that sweet grey and the capelet. We all know that I'm team purple. I'm third house. The crown princess of Ida. Yeah. I'm in that gauzy purple number with the blonde hair, rocking out with my twin. I feel like the fourth house is kind of like a small-esque Harry Potter. They're just trying to get through school and they got plucked out. Lisa says, I'm literally wearing a grey shirt right now. Kenzie says library, but aesthetically, graveyard. I love that for you. Jimmy says, yeah, I feel like I would be graveyard, but it feels, if feel different, let me know. Colleen says, where would my purple hair fit? You are in my house with me. We're getting our Grecian goddess on. Pailang said I'd be in the first house just to get the next. Oh, so you're in the brown house. So these are like your farm dwellers, the commoners, the good people. Catch22 said, which house is the math brain house? Cross between the militant and pious? Sixth house? That's the library. You're in the library as well. Get back to your books. Math brain would be 6. Yep, okay. Pailang says brown hype. STS says, excuse me, it's Grecian Martis. Nice. Morphinia says 5th house was neat. I'd join that one. So that's these guys here. Yeah, they're sweet. They're good. I think that's like good people. They're like your solid Hufflepuffs. Good people. Loyalty. Friendship. These guys are like cruddy little. But this is fun too. So the face paint is mandatory. Kate, I'm going to keep turning to you for a lot of things. Can you tell me why the 9th house delegates or they have to wear the face paint? How is the face paint very relevant or prevalent to their uniform?
I don't remember if there's like spoiler stuff in there because I've read the whole book, so I'm trying not to say too much. But if you notice, the 9th house is very ritualized. Like everything they do is like an old tradition, kind of like, you know, the old church in a way. Like even though the 8th house is very religious, everything in the 9th house is like ancient rituals.
Right.
So the face paint is part of that too.
Got it. Kind of like, you know, that necromancers, warlocks, you know, you're still referring to rituals, the dark arts, manuscripts, all that kind of stuff. So that does check out. One's just more pious. One looks to the heavens. The other one looks to kind of hell, I guess. The 7th house, the greenhouse, kind of looks like they're like the gardeners. They're like out in the gardens. Well, this is so helpful. I really wish I had this going into this. Lisa, does this help a lot more now that you can visualize them all?
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to pop these in the Discord so we can have them and reference them. And this is like other fan art that I found that I'm like, oh, that's awesome. This looks really cool. Because when I first saw that one that I just posted, I was like, I don't know any. I don't know what they are. But they were color-coded, so I thought that could be helpful. Anyway, I just thought this fan art was really quite beautiful. There you go. Boop. This is other fan art that I just popped in the Discord. If you are a Patreon backer, you've got access to that reading channel. Isn't that? I kind of love this anime style. And we usually talk about that. Like for all the books that we read, how could you see this be developed? And a couple of the series were like Mistborn would be amazing as an anime by Brandon Sanderson. I think that this, looking at this reference art would be so beautiful in an anime style, but at the same time it could be beautiful as TV as well, because we just haven't seen anything like this on TV before. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's get that book back in here. KP Dubs, do you want to talk through all the houses that you're writing in the chat right now? They've got different names. KP Dubs? KPW? Are you there? I can't hear you. Are you muted? Your mic worked earlier. Nah, still nothing. Well, you're writing them in the chat, which is very, very helpful. What they're the Emperor's second house, the Emperor's strength. Third house, the mouth of the Emperor. Fourth house, the hope of the Emperor. The fifth house, the heart of the Emperor. The sixth house, the Emperor's reason. The seventh house is the joy of the Emperor. Does this check out though with no? Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's pretty. Does this check out with this? So the second house, which is the militant ones, is the Emperor's strength. Yeah, that kind of checks out. Whoop. Whoop. There we go. And there's a book. Thank you. The third house is the mouth of the Emperor. So the, oh yeah, I guess they talk a lot. Yeah. Fourth house is the hope. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling the hope. KB Dubs, what if you leave and then come back in? I wonder if that will help. The fifth house is the heart. Oh, that makes sense. They were the heart for sure. Sixth house is the Emperor's reason. Yep, they're logical. Seventh is joy. Yeah, they're living their best life. All right. The eighth house is the keepers of the tome. Yeah, they're pious. And then the ninth house is the keeper of the tomb. The tome and the tomb. Kate says, yeah, it's in the front of the book.
Can you hear me now?
Sure can.
Okay. Yeah, and it's funny because I looked at the cast of characters and then didn't really refer to it too much as I was reading, but now that I'm looking at it, I realize it does sort of have that theme for each house. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, is there a pattern? Like the sixth house, the Emperor's reason, do they seem to be the most, say, logical or scientific thinking of all the houses, and so on and so forth? So I really don't know how to analyze that right now, but it's something I'm going to be thinking of as I go through the rest of the book.
Same, especially if we're talking about necromancy and these each harness a particular part of a person, physical and inner, inner to create a full being. I like that.
Was the sixth house there? Okay, so just as an example, they're the Emperor's reason. Were they the ones that were very much like into medicine, more scientific than necromantic?
So
were they the ones wanting to do like they wanted to do the almost like a forensic investigation of the murder scene? Was that house? If so, it kind of fits. I'm trying to remember.
Kate? I remember someone wanting to take the investigation. Sorry, yes, Kate? It was
that house.
There you go. You're right, KP Dubs. We're starting to piece this together.
Palamedes and Camilla.
Okay, right. Shit, Lisa, I think we need to read this book again because this is starting to be really cool, and I didn't get any of this.
And just to follow up, the seventh house, Dulcinea, the one who's like always being nice and everything.
Yeah.
She's the house that is the joy of the Emperor.
Because she
maybe they're bringing like the joy, the happiness, trying to be nice and everything to people. And an interesting note, the people that were killed were the fifth house, the heart of the Emperor. Heart has been killed.
But if they die, does that mean they can bring it back? Oh, we got a couple of purple-haired women in our community. Lisa's rocking purple hair. Colleen would love to see your purple hair. You're coming over to the purple side with me, I'm afraid. We're going to have a good time there, though. What's the third hat in the mouth? Yeah, it means we talk and have opinions. Star Pilot. I am not muted. Oh, thank God. Star Pilot said, for me, I thought of it as 1 is Emperor, 2 is officer level military, 3, rich snobs. Oh. I was just going on and on about how that was me. Oh no, my battery's low on my headset. That's okay. 4 is more rank and file military. 5 is sort of like ideal family. That's why they're dead. 6 is library. 7 is arts. 8 is state church. And then 9, the cult nobody. Oh, they are the cult that nobody wants to deal with. And Jimmy says, it does sound cool once you make sense of it. Yeah, this is actually really cool. There were just so many moving parts that we were like, what's happening? But now it's making a little bit more sense. All right, let's jump into Act 2 then. We're kind of already in there a little bit. Who's following along? Vian Ultima? Hello there. Welcome to Book Chat. We are covering Gideon the Ninth, a series by Tasmin Muir. Chris has got purple hair. Ah! There's a gif in the chat.
Odd, here I am again to correct your pronunciation. It's Muir.
Muir. Muir? Oh. It went dead. Oh no. I can't hear anybody. Oh no. I have to change a few things now. That is no good. You know what? I've got too many things happening, but I got no speakers. No, that's not it. Cut to a clip. Cut to an ad. Clip. Cut to a clip. Kate, take over and talk about Act 2. Oh my god, we did cut back to a clip. Thank you, Vaden. Okay. Switch device. I think that's good. Oh, it's not gonna be good. That's what we got. That's not good. Speakers. Oh gosh, you don't want your headphones to go flat in the middle of a show, do you? There was no clip? But I've got GiftBots open. I got GiftBot open. Alerts on. Alert box is on. No! Gory! We didn't get a clip. Oh, that's a great question, Toaster Poster. We're going into spoiler territory, so if you know the answer, zhuzh. But Gory's gone. Very sad. Trez sad. Vegamite. Chris says, quick, she can't hear us. Bad mouth, Tim Tams, and Vegamite. Can someone talk and I'll see if I can hear you? Yeah. Can everyone hear you on the call? No, because I need to add it. I need to add a speaker in. Output audio. There we go. Alright, let's try that again. KB Dubs, give me a 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah? We here! We here! Fantastic. 10-4. The KP. We hear the KP. Great. Love that. Oof, what a little hiccup. We're back on track though. Act 2. The trials begin. Gideon's starting to make friends with the 4th house teens who admire her, the 5th house cavalier who seeks to encourage cooperation, and the 7th house necromancer who takes a keen and often flirtatious interest in Gideon. The 2nd house keeps to themselves. They're military. I'm knowing this now. Now that we've done all that background, this makes so much more sense. Generally cordial, and after a round of duels, she develops an animosity with the 3rd house cavalier. This dude? That's the dude that she fought with? I thought he was this big brutish dickwad. He looks like he gets better dressed than me. Is that for real who it is? He's shorter. Okay. So anyway, they have a little bit of a duel. She bests him. Oh no, she bests Magnus in 3 moves. That I know. Magnus is like, "Ooh, I better get better." And then I don't know if I can say that, Kay. He's more a dandy than a lion. All right. Pylang says I'm taller than average. You bet I am taller than average. I was thinking that he was as big as the guy in green. That's what I thought it was. So the 3rd house cavalier, they have a war. I think he bests her, but they're like, it's on. The 6th and 8th house are rarely seen at all. The 6th, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The library and the pious. Got it? The grey and the white are barely seen at all. Visual aids are so great. It quickly becomes clear that the inter-house bonds are extraordinarily weak and the guests treat each other with open distrust and even outright hostility. This is where it starts feeling like Clue. With Professor, like this Mrs. Peacock and Scarlet, Miss Scarlet, and Professor Mustard, Colonel Mustard, and Professor Plum. Yeah. So this animosity of all of them being in the same place inside this house that they can't really leave. Clue us in, Maud. I'm trying. Toasty Poster says, I love the build-up and reactions to the jewels. Thank you for saying it how I would phonetically say it. Thanks for spelling it that way. KP Dub says, it was Gideon in the laboratory with the rapier. Well done. Odd the Quiet says, I played the Colonel. That's cool. Vaden says, I was immediately suspicious of the people saying, we need to trust everyone because no one would commit murder. And then what happens? There's murder. As Gideon navigates the social culture of Canaan House. Canaan? Kate? Canaan? I can't say it properly. Canaan? Okay. It was Zelda under the desk with the squeak toy. Okay.
Canaan? Isn't it Canaan House?
Canaan. Thank you, Colleen. Canaan. Nice one, KP Dubs. Canaan. As Gideon navigates the social culture of Canaan House, Harrowhark descends into the basement of the mysterious laboratory containing tests that stretch the bounds of necromancy and attempt to reverse engineer the secret to lictorhood. This is where I start getting hazy. She marks 6th house necromancer, Palamedes Sextus, as her main competition, and the two race to solve the trials before the other. When Harrowhark fails to return home one evening, Gideon teams up with Palamedes and his cavalier, Camilla Hecht, to locate her and is introduced to the basement facility. Gideon and Harrowhark learn that both Necromancer and Cavalier are required to solve the puzzle and develop a tentative camaraderie. After a dinner party is thrown by the 5th house, followed by a night working in the facility, the pair beat their first test and earn a key. As they're leaving, they discover the murdered bodies of Abigail Pent and Magnus Quinn. End Act 2 with that cliffhanger. Canaan is a biblical reference. That's why I've got no idea what it is. Whoa. Canaan gets associated with vampires a lot. Odd the Quiet. Tell me more about that. Blue Cloud 101 says, also, am I the only one who got Hollow Bastion from KH1 vibes for Canaan House? I find it weird how it's described as a gothic space palace. Hollow Bastion from KH1. Hollow Bastion. What's KH1? Kingdom Hearts. Got nothing. Got nothing. Let's show it. This is what... No, don't be a WebP. I need a JPEG. I need a JPEG. Alrighty. So this is what you think the spaceship island is in reference to. Just, we like visual aids. So this is from Kingdom Hearts. This is the Hollow Bastion. Blue Cloud, you think that this is Canaan House. Is it on a planet? It's on a planet. So where's the airlock? Kate says, I don't think it's a reference. That's what they were thinking visually. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to like get my head around it because I can't picture shit. I don't know. I thought it was a castle, but then there was an airlock, and so I've got no idea. Not as super fanciful. Okay, I like it. Hey, you give me a reference, I'm going to look it up and show everyone because I can do that on this stream because I need visual aid help. Toblerstone says, I think the planet is all water except the planet. What? What? Sorry, except the castle. Why you do that to me? I'm clearly blonde. I'm like, what? Broke my brain. The whole water is planet except the castle. Just imagine a castle with an airlock in it. Oh, okay, Kate. So easy. I've read about castles. There's never an airlock until now. This made me feel like when Kit died in Priory. Oh, why is that? We finally had a character. Colleen, I want to hear about that. So when we read Priory of the Orange Tree, we had a likable character who was jovial and he was a lot of fun, Kit, and he got fridged. He got killed off pretty quickly. Colleen, is that what you're saying with Magnus in this instance?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. We've got this guy that we just start to like, and he seems like he's really trying to be nice to everybody, and he's the first to go.
Why is that? Why do we have this trope starting to form where it's like we get really interested and invested, and then all of a sudden, nope.
I think part of it is because there have to be some stakes. And at this point, who is the one character, besides the main characters, who's the one character that we would really care about something happening to? And, or the two characters in this case. So, I mean, how upset are we going to feel about those obnoxious twins falling down an airlock or something?
Okay, I get you on that one. We want to feel the loss a lot further. Yeah, I get it. Lisa has put an amazing picture in, whoa, the Discord. Everyone look at it. This is fan art of the actual Canaan area. So you can see that there is a castle on the water. Thank you for popping this in the Discord. I immediately put it over. Excuse me, please. Kate says that I also feel like it's symbolic in the fact that this is a contest where not everyone can win. Heart has no place in a to-the-death fight. Ooh. And now shit's going down and it's becoming more and more heartless, which is why camaraderie is not happening and there's an open disdain that's taking place. K. Frito, nothing gets by you. Nothing gets by you. This counter keeps climbing. I thought I was subtle, but I'm not. Alrighty. So we've done the end of Act 2 where Abigail Pent and Magnus Quinn are dead. For those that have only read half the book, why do you think they died? Did they not complete the challenge correctly? Did they fail in the task and that's why they're dead? Or did someone else kill them? Hence it's a murder mystery because one of the houses is taking out the others. I think that's what they indicated already. That they were all in the same room and there was this moment where it was like, one of the houses is a murderer. I got Hercule Poirot vibes big time. That literally happens in Death of the Nile. He's like, someone on this boat has killed another person and I will find out who it is. Emotional damage, says Odd the Quiet, but then goes on to say, I did not read the book. Vaden says, I would guess that there is another person or group that killed them. STS says, I leave for 1 second and the swear counter goes up. Listen. For fuck's sake. Lisa, do you think that there's a killer amongst us?
I think that, teacher said something about, I'm just going to burst right in.
Yeah.
A teacher said it can't be a murder because the dead don't commit murder. And so he's suggesting that there is something aside from the houses themselves that is out to get him. And that, yes.
So that was where
And that might be possibly part of the trials, is to figure out the monsters.
Okay.
Because even teachers seem scared.
Okay. Kate makes a really great point. Well, as a genre-bending book, it has sci-fi, fantasy, buddy comedy, and now murder mystery. That's a question I have for everyone in the chat. How was it getting to around the halfway mark of the book and discovering that we're now reading a murder mystery? I'm opening that up to anyone in the chat.
Well, I think now that we've discovered it's a murder mystery, I think it would be, just my opinion, I think it would be cool if the second house were the people that were doing the murdering, because it would just be like no one suspects these two people to be doing anything.
The twins?
Or even the was that the sixth house? Sixth house could be believable because that guy's like a Hercule of a man, but yeah, I just think it would be very amusing. Oh, it would be really cool actually if it was the third house, because little kids. Who doesn't expect little kids to be doing this?
Fourth house.
I'm just spitballing here. I'm just looking at the pictures.
So Jimmy's doing the, all right, let's claim your stake. Who do you think it's going to be? He's saying it's the kids from the fourth house because they're unsuspecting. Originally said third, not fourth. Kate says I have to abstain. Fair enough. Colleen, you've only read the first half of the book. Who do you think the murderer is? The monster.
I'm not sure, but Dulcinea seems too good to be true. And I keep wondering if, I know she's fragile and she appears about to die, but, so many appearances can be deceiving. So I don't know that she's the murderer.
But she's the most active in the investigation at the moment, isn't she? She's working alongside Gideon and Harrow to try and get the next key, but she's got a key around her neck, I think.
I just think I'm just a little suspicious when somebody or something seems too good to be true.
I think she's got nothing to lose. And Lisa, you're in this boat as well. Why do you think it's, and I quote, the dying chick?
I don't know. It was just the vibe that I got, but I wasn't following very well, so I don't know. At just one point, I remember thinking she seems kind of suspicious. So I don't know. That's why my vote went with her.
Dulcinea Septimus. All right, that's Colleen saying that. I'm saying that. Lisa's saying that. Jimmy's saying that it's the teens from the fourth house, Isaac and Jean Mary. Oddball, who do you think the murderer is? Have you read the whole book?
No, I haven't read the whole book, but I would go possibly the Emperor because we haven't seen anything about him yet.
The smoke and mirror. I like that. Vaden, who's the murderer?
Oh, I just think it's probably someone. I think it's probably a creature or something that's already killed. Like an undead creature, spirit of some sort.
So none of the above. All right.
No, none of the houses. None of the.
KP Dubs, who do you think the murderer is?
I think I'm kind of along the lines of Oddball. It's something to do with the house, and I'm basing that off of the teacher saying like don't go anywhere unless you have permission or whatever if it's locked. Did
If
they
the
have
door
a
is locked,
key?
that
I
was a
can't remember
Harry
if they
Potter
did.
straight away. I'm like, Cerberus
Yeah.
three-headed dog.
Like when they went down the ladder and were killed at the bottom of the ladder, they weren't near a lab, so it wasn't part of any trial. And I can't remember if they had a key or if they somehow got a key and got in without permission from teacher to go down the hatch.
Oh, the
So
quiet
maybe
says
it was
this
some sort of
protagonist.
punishment.
Unreliable narrator twist.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think these guys were killed by another necromancer. It was part of the castle or the emperor.
Now, Kate, you might have to help me, but did I not listen today where one of the people started consuming a body to try and learn what happened in their death? Did I hear that properly? KPW says yes. Okay. What the fuck was that? Kate, can you explain me who that was and what that was? iZombie hype. Yeah. Ate the brain. Do you know the moment I'm talking about? They wanted to...
Trying to remember that part. I mean, it's been like a year or two since I read it.
Got it. Have we got anyone who's read the whole thing who's in this chat? No. Well, if anyone's in the... Kenzie, if you've read it all, Morphinius, I know you want to avoid spoilers, but if anyone can break down who it was, but someone wanted to help out with the investigation, so started consuming and eating their hair and a part of them. Kenzie says, I've only read half. There it is. Regards, Darren. Hello. Enters the chat. Third house, Ianthe bites off a chunk of her cavalier's palm. What? Why? Captain Awesomeball says, well, he's Maud. I guess everything's wrapped in a neat little package. Hello. They're called overalls. He just takes it like it's no big deal. The third house, yeah, that's part of their style of necromancy. They ate the cavalier to regain strength. That's why they're no, they were the mouth. Oh, they have to eat it. Oh, okay. Clever Librarian, a big hello to you. Have you read Gideon the Ninth? The auto mod of little package. We'll allow little package. Colleen says, yeah, that's what I thought. It was to get more strength. Got it. Okay. Third house, the mouth of the emperor. Da da da. That's the thing. What? STS gifted a sub to the Clever Librarian. Very, very sweet. That's the thing. Anthropologically, though, that you consume the flesh of your enemies to gain their strength and wisdom. This is the house that I'm saying I would be a part of. I would like to take a second option. Oh, I feel strong again. Yay. La Hooligan says, the ever lovely Maud. Hello, hello. Lovely to have you here. We do book clubs on Wednesdays, and we're covering the first half of Tamsin Muir's Gideon the Ninth. We've read the first half of it. This is such a mixed genre book. It's got sci-fi, fantasy elements, Hunger Games, Battle Royale kind of flavors, with now a murder mystery. I learned a sweet anthropology fact the other day. Go on, we love facts around here. And we're back to human eating. Seems like every book we talk about cannibalism. We're not bringing it up because we want to talk about it. It just so happens that every single book since January has human consumption in it. Clever Girl says, when was our last cannibalism discussion? The Martian. The Martian, when they were going to eat each other. Did they eat each other in Priory of the Orange Tree? Kate says, so in terms of necromancy, consuming would let you see the person who died. You would see through their eyes and think through their brain. Okay, that's freaking cool. I'm back in third house. That's awesome. KPW says the ninth house, keeper of the locked tomb. They keep saying the prayer about hoping the tomb never opens. What the fuck is that tomb? That's right. They rolled the door over it, and Harrow was there for the big speech. You know, like cutting the red rope kind of thing, the red ribbon. But yeah, they rolled a big rock. I hope that the boulder will never be moved. Accidental cannibalism over here. Cannibalism just loves to come up during book chats. You can tell the gender of an ant by putting it in water. If it sinks, it's a girl, and if it floats, it's a... God damn it, Captain Wilson. And if it floats, it's buoyant. Thanks. Kenzie says, I keep hearing necromancer. I mean, some people are into that. Yeah, that's more the vampires. They romance that necromancer. Yeah, necromancer. That's funny. Act 3. Let's just get all caught up here. We're halfway through it. Not the whole way. We read up to chapter 20. An investigation into the murders of the fifth house reveals a little about their deaths, but cracks the mysteries of the first house wide open. The law-abiding second house attempts to bring in the authorities, but is stopped by the guardians of the Canaan house, who insist there is no law here, only the vague instruction from the Lord. With all of the Necromancer/Cavalier teams aware of the facility and the elusive keys, the race to complete challenges grows ever tighter. Despite their host's warnings of a malevolent spirit haunting the laboratory, Harrow and Gideon descend into the facility to complete their cruelest test yet, with a little help from Dulcinea Septimus. With the completion of the last laboratory comes the realization that keys are not only limited, but nearly all claimed. And I think that's where we stop it. That's where we stop it. So some of the questions that I have, the world building. Enough, or was there just not enough world building? There was a lack of world building for you to be able to visualize it. And is that why some of us had trouble? Is it because we listened to it and we didn't have reference pictures? Or is it because the world building was a little empty? Who wants to chat about world building? Kate says, I think it's because you listened to it. Jimmy says there's enough world building. Oddball, what do you think about the world building?
I think it was a little lacking to describe the conditions of where they were at.
Yep. I was not picturing Gideon like this. I was not picturing Harrow like that. I did not have this really at all. They are so sexy, and they weren't in my head. They were blobs. I needed a little bit more, but that could have been me listening. Kate says it's obviously a failing of the narrator if the people who listen to the audiobook are having the same problem. There you go. Kenzie says there's enough for me, or amidst character interaction, you learn the culture. Nicely done. It's subtle and not spoon-feedy. Okay. Audiobook, help or hinder? I think we've answered that question. Judas sounds hot as fuck, says Kate. I didn't pick up on Gideon's red hair. Lisa said it hindered for sure. Regards, Darren says, at the end of the last trial is the first time that Gideon as Harrow, sees Harrow without face paint. Saw Harrow. Yes, she finally sees what her face is all about because they wear face paint the whole time. Yeah. Book cover? Oh, yeah, it was on the book cover. Nah. We don't... Yeah, no. While we were developing common sense, she studied the blade. I liked that quote. Makes us they just find new ways to insult each other. So it throws the reader into a unique world of necromancers and warriors. What did you think of the world that Tasmin Muir built in this book? Has anyone really delved in necromantic warriors before? Or is this like a really, really new domain for a lot of people? Do I like that fan art?
As being a fan of metal music, which is a big thing with face paint and, counterculture and whatnot, so I'm heavily into that type of stuff because it speaks, not only to the creativity of the music, but it also opens your mind to other aspects of life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, You know, that, like, best example I could give to you is Iron Maiden. I'm sure you've heard of Iron Maiden. Who hasn't? Now, Iron Maiden has a main character called Eddie. Now, Iron Maiden writes a lot of songs about history, not just American history, European history, and it's very, very useful,
Informative.
very smart. So that's why it would be. I'm not going to go on and on about this, but you get the point.
I do. Yeah, it expands your mind because they are teaching you things that interest them as well, and they happen to be interesting. Kate says, I would think that the world of Ninth House would be more like black metal than the thrash metal that is Iron Maiden. Actually, you go, Scott. I'm actually. But there you go. What were your favorite details? Because this is sort of like a new world, and the world building in this. I mean, before when we were talking about Mistborn, it was like, what did we love about this magic and the science-based magic that we have here? What are your favorite elements of this world? The fact that you can summon necromancers, the fact that every planet has their own unique set of powers and culture, the fact that there's a dynamic of a necromancer with a cavalier, and that they are, that's like a unanimous thing that happens across all the planets, even though they're all a little bit different culturally, but that remains the same. Does anyone have something that is... Oh, really? Blue Cloud 101 says, how's this for further description? Gideon and Harrow are part Maori, at least as far as the author is concerned. Americans might say Maori. The pronunciation is Maori. They're Polynesian. They're traditional landowners of New Zealand. That's cool. That ain't that. That's for sure. Also, Judith and Marta are Tongan. Pal and Cam are of Middle Eastern descent. Isaac and Jean Mary are East Asian and Maori, respectively. And Magnus is Samoan. Whoop. Get out of there, little one. Little one? Alrighty. One more time. Judith and Marta are Tongan. There, in the corner. Pal and Cam are Middle Eastern. They're the library, in the grey. Judith and Marta. Which one's Judith and Marta again? I'll find out. Judith and Marta. Second house. Oh, in the military? They are Tongan. Oh, they need to be bigger than that. Pal and Cam are of Middle Eastern descent. Isaac and Jean Mary, the little brats, they are East Asian. So dude with, yeah, they drew it like that. Dude with the orange hair. And Maori respectively. She looks Maori. And then Magnus is Samoan. Yeah, okay. That's cool. That's really cool. But it's that thing again where it's like, whoop. They're in like a fantastical kind of dimension, space, time that doesn't exist on Earth. So that's like a interesting one to get around. The first one's the second house. Yeah. I got there. Kenzie, great conversation. If cultures aren't stated, it defaults to white. Pailang says, I'm Samoan. Yee! Representation. It is real one and only. Oh. Aria? It is real one and only Maud, I guess. But that's interesting, isn't it? Like, when you look at those descriptors, and then you look at that, you're like, defaults to white. Reverse says I pronounce it Morty. Oh, well, that's not it. Americans barely know about their own indigenous people. There you go. Tamsin Muir posted up a description list of her characters on her Tumblr and pretty much stated the ethnicities of her characters. That's really cool. Colleen says, I think the default depends on your background. There are some characters in books that I've read that I pictured as Hispanic. You're exactly right. So, you know, depends what you are brought up with, what you see the most of, what becomes like sort of yeah, what you're most sort of surrounded by. Doctora, by the way, thanks 5 minutes ago for giving us a follow. We're doing book club and we're reading Tamsin Muir's Gideon the Ninth. She's a Kiwi author and we're looking at these characters and getting their descriptors that are way more accurate than maybe what we've seen. That's really interesting. Alrighty, I'm going back. Oh, we read it all. We did it. We're all caught up. We're all caught up. I was going through my questions. What are your thoughts between the relationship between Gideon and Harrow as it develops throughout the book? I can see the enemy to lovers trope coming a mile away. Lisa, I'm guessing the same's for you.
Yeah, but I also kind of know that just from people talking about it on the internet.
No, these guys hate each other too much, but then they start not being around. It's when she comes into the bedroom. I was like, what you doing in there? I know. We all know. What do you guys think of the Kate, I'd love to hear your thoughts about Gideon and Harrow and their relationship in the first half of the book. The fact that they hate each other.
Well, since I've read both books, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to separate my feelings about the relationship just for the first half of the book, but I mean, I really like the fact that they hate each other in the first part. Like, it's a really great dynamic that they're not friends and they have such polar opposite personalities and ways about life, and like Gideon is so kind of anti-establishment and punk that she's just bristles at everything that's super, you know, into the ritual, and like Harrow's also very ambitious because she really wants the lictor position, so they just like are like fire and water. They're so opposite from each other.
I like that. KB Dub says, can we talk about the piece of note that Gideon found? You sure can, because I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, when they get into that one room after they defeat the first trial, they get the key and they deduce, because they found a family seal, that it's a second house room, and they search. Gideon finds a little corner of a note, a scrap of paper, and they put a little paragraph in the book, but it's like you're missing the first and second word and last and second to last word from each line of about 4 lines of information. But one little piece in there talks about someone named Gideon, and it's they're guessing this note was left thousands of years ago, but they use the name Gideon in the note that Gideon found.
And
I think it's right about the end of chapter 19.
Gideon's only called Gideon because when she was falling down to a planet because her parents were killed, her mother was heard screaming Gideon, Gideon, Gideon.
Yeah.
And that's how Gideon got her name?
Yeah, here's the little piece for the note. All you see is parts of words. It says, we all know the sad plus trying real is that this will remain incomplete. Alas, we can't fix my deficiencies. Please give Gideon my congratulations. However, that's the note she found.
Yeah, that did not appear in the audiobook.
Ah, interesting. But also, there's the part where when Harrow is sort of riding Gideon's mind and sees her fighting the monstrosity, she's like, oh my god, you're like the most amazing fighter. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were descended from like one of our greatest cavaliers ever. I'm wondering if these are clues that maybe Gideon is someone more important than we thought she was.
I have a feeling that I'm thinking exactly what Lisa's thinking, and that is we have to read this book again. I think I'm just going to read from like halfway through Act 2. The name Gideon is also a biblical name. An underdog warrior, actually. Oh! I plan on reading it over once I finish. Okay. There was a note, and we're trying to figure out where Gideon comes from. You're going to start completely over? I feel like I got Act 1 down. It's just that, and I've got patches, but then there's this like big gaps where I'm like, I got nothing. Please don't let this be a chosen one situation, says Kenzie. You are not about that trope. We got a couple going. We don't know Gideon's backstory. Sounds like it could be. We could get that one. That leads me into my next question. Gideon the Ninth plays with a lot of different tropes. It's essentially a locked room murder mystery. It takes place in a crumbling Gothic house, and the relationship between Gideon and Harrow is a play on the classic enemies to lovers story. What other tropes or references did you catch? Kenzie's all over this one. We could have a chosen one situation on our hands. It was a genre bend. It went from like a warrior's who can best the competition to a murder mystery to there are horror tropes. Yep. The dilapidated sort of like Gothic manor. I mean, we see that in a lot of horror. That's a huge horror trope. The very first horror book I ever read, and the first book for Alpha Book Club back in 2016 in October, was The Haunting of Hill House. That was a scary book. I just got burnt out on that trope after we saw what happened in The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, but that was a triangle getting shoved into a square. Let's be real. Did you like the use of these plot devices? Did it help you understand the story better, or did it get in the way of your enjoyment? Colleen was saying that in terms of plot devices, that she doesn't want to see a straightforward relationship advancement from Gideon and Harrow from enemies to lovers. Colleen, you were saying that you wanted it to be more of a twist.
Well, for me, it just seems too obvious. I feel the same way a little bit about The Chosen One, because more, she's coming from an unknown background. She's this amazing fighter. I don't know. I really like to see things kind of shuffled around a little bit more. I mean, I guess there's really nothing new under the sun, but I really kind of like to see something mixed up just a little.
I hear what you're saying with that, but I actually find that as soon as I start realizing these tropes, it makes it easier for me to progress with the story and to figure it out. I'm trying to latch on to familiarity because nothing else is at the moment, because there's so many meldings of different genres, and it goes for such a ride. So I'm like seeking comfort in those familiar tropes. So that's quite interesting, because you're like, no, I want to be challenged more. I don't want this to be predictable. I want to be on my toes. And we know that Tamsin is able to do that because she's already kind of like a melting pot of all these amazing things within the genres. That's quite interesting. Oh, KP Dubs in the Discord has posted a picture of the page with the note. Oh, see, being able to see it makes it so much better. I will say, though, I bought that log of a book for Priory of the Orange Tree because listening to the first 7 chapters did not sink in. And then I read the first 10 chapters again. And then because I'd had it, I visualized it better and I was able to kind of get it. I went back into the audiobook because I find it easier to listen to books and faster. Tito Curl, or Tito Curl, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to Geek Bomb's Book Club. We are talking about Tamsin Muir's Gideon the Ninth, which is a sci-fi fantasy murder mystery whodunit mixed in with necromancy and lesbians. You say hi hi. Tropes can give something to relate to. That's what I'm saying. Kate says, I've also read both. I want to say stuff so bad. Oh man, can we talk about it next week? I've also read both. Picturing Maud trying to understand Harrow the Ninth is very funny to me. Why? Why? Kate? Why?
Because that book is literary genius almost in the way that it has no timeline. It's like very, very strange. Very, very strange.
Oh. Okay. Some people have already bowed out of this book. We had Black Belt who read the first 7 chapters and went, nah, I'm calling it. I'm tapping out. This one's not for me. Blue Cloud is saying, imagine where I'm sitting. I've read both books and we are waiting on the third and I can't say anything. Blue Cloud says, tropes are neither good nor bad. It's how one uses them. Tito Curl says, I'm reading Vine Witch. Loving it so far. Is it Tito or Tito? I think it's Tito. But just correct me if I'm wrong. Colleen says, I rely on audiobooks when I have a deadline. It just seems so much faster to me. Agree. I really find it hard to switch off and get into the book. When I'm in the zone, I power through, but it takes me so long to get into the zone. Tito, thank you. Thank you. Other questions that I had. The members of the 8 houses of necromancy are in a competition in the book. Did you identify with any of the houses? Was there one that you particularly disliked? Kate, I'm going to throw that over to you since you're most familiar with all the houses. I'll bring them back up as well. Which
like a house where I was just actively like, you know, every time they're on the page I was like, ugh. But I guess maybe the 8th house, just because it seemed the most like traditional religious to me, and that's always a character that I bristle against.
Yep. Who did you say that this is? Was that them that every time they were on the page you went, ugh?
I didn't really do that much to any of them, but if I had to choose, it would be the 8th house.
All right. Anyone else got a least favorite house? I think the twins are giving me the shits. And I think 2 are control freaks. I think that they want to control all the situations, and that's not cool. House 3 eat each other. Is that the worst thing? Ember says, I was a bit surprised that they all did forms of necromancy and that wasn't just the purview of the 9th house. Oh, got it. You thought that since they have their skull face paint and they worship the tomb, that they were the only ones sort of raising the dead. But in actuality, they're all necromancy and different forms of necromancy. Yeah, that is interesting. And they have the necromancer and cavalier dynamic, but they're all from very vastly different places with different cultures, except the common denominator of necromancy. Yeah, you're right. And it's interesting sort of seeing their relationship with the dead. Yeah, which is why I guess it explains Dulcinia's mindset. Dying's not really a bad thing. Kate says, Maud, think about it like this. Cure Wounds was technically a necromancy spell in older D&D editions. Damn. Sound it out, says Pylang. Dulcinia. Almost like the different metals from Mistborn. Yeah. Reanimating dead flesh to heal rather than just to animate. You are not wrong. We've reached that. This graphic was so helpful. I'm glad we had it. We have reached that time though. No. Yeah. We are going to finish the book, or if you're Lisa and I, we're going to read the book again. She put the dull sin in Dulcinia. That might actually help me, KP Dubs. Thank you for that one. I thought of Mistborn when Harrow was keeping bone shards in her ears. Yeah. When did she do that? That makes sense. But what? Oh, Chris says I may start the book. Oh. We got to finish this book. Blue Cloud, I guess we'll see you next week so you can talk about everything. Kate, we'll see you back next week talking about everything. Thank you so much for joining us when you have COVID. Really appreciate it. And I put you on the spot a bunch of times as well. I made you be a part of this community and you stood up. So I really appreciate that. Book good? You did not. You crushed it. Nicely done. KP Dubs is saying early ratings are 4 out of 5. Chris is like, good night. Hyoko Mandu says, I can't wait to hear your thoughts next week. Ah! Kate says, at least my cough is just because my throat is irritated from the nasal drip, not in my lungs. That is good. No pneumonia for Kate. Colleen says, I'll probably be out next week. I'm going to go see my great-grandson in Legoland. Oh, that's so great. Toaster Poster says, I'm happy that you're going to give the book another go. Morphinia says, good night, everybody. Stay safe. Bye, Maud. Lovely seeing you as always. Thank you. Blue Cloud says, I will try. Haha. Thanks, everyone, for giving this a try. The more love this universe gets, the better. That's how this thing can get an adaptation of the nation. Alrighty. You know the drill. I think usually Jason Charles Miller is on, but I do not see that they are on right now. I don't understand. Why not? Oh. Give him like 3 minutes. Yeah, I want to raid into Jason Charles Miller. My absolute favorite. Steph Woodburn could be good. What's Steph Woodburn's, it's just not coming up for me. What's Steph Woodburn's handle? Let's give her a lot of love. Is it just... Is it just Steph Woodburn with an F? Yay! They've got a follower or subscriber only chat at the moment, but at least swing by, say hi, or just show up. Maybe give her a follow. She's a good egg. She's gone and rated Geek Bomb a couple of times, so it's nice to pay it back. Thanks for book chat. We're gonna finish Gideon the Ninth. I'll see you next Wednesday. Happy eating, people. Ugh. Don't eat people, by the way, everyone. Don't do it. Cannibalism is not great. Thank you, everyone, for the show. It was amazing. Thank you for helping me out with figuring out this dang book. Appreciate you all.
Into mod, cannibalism is awesome.
Do you remember when Rachel said it once? She's like, I don't think it's the worst thing. And like Hector and I did not let it go ever. Oh no, she said that in Hannibal that the human food that was made up didn't look bad.
Delicious, actually.
We never let it go. She's like, no, I don't want to eat people. And I was like, okay, sure. But if, yeah, anyway.
My kids loved Cannibal the musical.
There's a Cannibal the musical?
Yeah. It's supposed to be inspired by some event that happened in Colorado, but they made it. It's hard to take it seriously.
Oh, okay. Holy hell. There you go. Today I learned. Whew. Book club's turning kind of into a cult a little bit, but let's try not to eat people. Okay. On that note, have a great Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you.
All right, Nettle.
Have fun reading the book.
Thanks, Mud. Good night.
Have fun storming the Gothic Space Castle.
Gothic Space Castle. I'm about it. All right, everyone. But, oops.
Castle made of ice, cheese, or chocolate, but I feel like the chocolate's an obvious one. Okay, wait. We gotta escape here. How's it going? You saw this. You used the saw on a shark. Oh shit! Hold on. This is not good. Shit. We're gonna both be in trouble. Okay. Problems. No!